What's going on, Show Nation? It's Movie with Movie Gaming TV, and today I'm going up against DGoss. DGoss is a number 3 overall player in the entire world. One of the best players I've ever gone up against. I've known him for years. He's a great guy. You guys need to check out his stream. Twitch.tv/DGoss15. Correct, DGoss? What's up, DGoss?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Thank you, man. I appreciate all the kind words. It's a lot of fun to be doing this kind of thing. And as you said, I've known you for years. You've been a good friend, and really looking forward to the game we got here today.
Sounds good. So we're actually recording this gameplay on the day that we got the news that Honus Wagner is going to be a part of the collection. So we were kind of talking about that a bit before we got this going. So me personally, I think I am going to try to do it, no money spent, but it's going to be a difficult grind for sure. What do you think about it, D-Guy?
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult grind. Kind of seeing how they've laid it out, trying to collect all these cards. And with the news coming out, of course, many of the cards that you need to be collected haven't exactly been very valuable from a stub perspective, but now you're starting to see increases in prices in the market, and they're going up. So people are very quick with that, and now it's going to be imperative that you do well with your stubs. You don't waste them. If you're really going for this Honus card, you might need to play some BR, play some events, maybe do some flipping, stuff along those lines, or you might need to start getting rid of guys that you might not necessarily have to lock in to kind of increase your stub count to where you have enough to lock in and hopefully try and get them. But yeah, man, it's interesting. Obviously, I think a lot of people have forgotten about Honus a little bit. There have been other guys that they've talked about that they're going to add into the game, and Honus really hasn't been talked about, which is kind of surprising because I think we as a community, we've been clamoring for a shortstop for so long, and we just got a bunch of them this week. The one up right now is one of them, which I'm excited to try about. But
yeah,
you know, like it's
Frank with the misplay.
it's one of them things, man, where I think it's a unique way of how they made it. So like, people talk about his baseball card in baseball lore being like probably the rarest card you can get. And I think the way that they've done it this year kind of shows just how rare he's going to be, because certainly not a lot of people are going to have him, which I think is a good idea. I think the issue or the controversy that kind of lays ahead of us is just how much of overkill is it. And I think it's an interesting conversation if you talk to different people. There's going to be a debate about it this year for sure, and I just didn't know if I wanted to sweat that, but that's all right.
This is the first time I pitched with Bob Gibson. I ended up having to go and pick him up. I sold Mad Bum, got rid of him. You guys on YouTube are seeing the Frank Thomas at third base. He did not make that play, but it's been kind of crazy how he can hold it down for a little bit. That was and it's also the first time I'm trying that out on Legend, to be honest with you. On Hall of Fame, for some reason, I bet the throw window, the green window, is really small.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, this is my first time seeing Bob since he came out. Which I don't know, like I don't really care, but it's kind of frustrating because I want to see these new cards as early as possible. To give me a sense of if I want to maybe purchase, or give me a sense of who I want to pick when I get to 300 stars, because I'm not there yet. I'm always intrigued most by the pitchers, more so than the hitters, because hitters, they're pretty straightforward. Like the stats are what they are, and you get a good sense of what they'll be able to do, because they're very similar to other hitters with those stats. Nice pitch.
Thanks.
But, pitchers, certain windups might not be favorable to have. The way pitches move, you don't really see that when you look at the stats of the card. So this is my first time seeing Bob, and I know last year not a lot of people liked him, but this year, people were hoping that with all the righties we've had at our disposal in people's lineups, that hopefully he'd be somewhat of a force that we can replace some people. So we'll have to see. First inning, got some guys on, but couldn't bring anybody home. He had some good pitches, though. That's for sure.
He's kind of got the per nines that we've been lacking in a frontline starter.
Absolutely.
And he's got a little bit of control to back it up. The pitches. I pitched with him a lot last year. One other thing I'd say about that Honus Wagner card is I do remember the card art getting leaked maybe last year. Like, it was like in the game or something like that, but we never even saw it. So it was like the exact same card this year, too.
Right. Yeah, I as far as his card goes, with like his stats that they've given him, you know, I think the fact that he has the speed component, I think that's going to be appealing to a lot of people. But in terms of a pure stick at the plate, I think that also creates a little bit of a dilemma for the player in Diamond Dynasty to ask themselves, okay, do I really want to be committing all these stubs and cards for a guy that has hitting stats like, you know, Tulo? He's very similar to Tulo, but he just has the speed. It's just how much do you value that speed and that stealing? That's going to be interesting.
Sure. He kind of, I haven't like seen his swing or anything. I'd like to go try it off the rosters. He kind of reminds me of Rogers Hornsby, but now he's got fielding and more speed.
Sure, and that's the beauty of there being people out there that want to go ahead and get this thing done right away, going into BR and hopefully trying to roll him and getting a sense of his swing and how he can do as a card, given its all-star difficulty. I know the majority of the player base is on all-star difficulty, but for players like myself who are normally on legend, for the majority part of the season, just to get a sense of what his swing is like, you know, how he is as a card before I can go ahead and make a commitment or not. Because regardless, it's going to be a long grind. It certainly is going to be a long grind if you're not, you know, unless you're rattling off BRs and you're a flip master and, you know, you have all those cards. Like, it's absolutely going to be a grind. And with that, there's going to be a lot of time to determine if he's going to be a worthwhile card for me. Like I said, I just got Hanley today, so I want to be able to use him for as long as I can, and then maybe eventually Tulo. So, you know, we'll have to see, man. We'll really have to see.
Bryce Harper.
Yeah, and we just got
in the
got
lineup. You got a lot of cool cards in here today.
And I've said this on stream before. Like, I know a lot of people go for their best 9 no matter what and want to stick with that for as long as they can. I used to be that way. I've been a little bit different this year, where I've wanted to try out a bunch of different cards. Oh, nice catch. A bunch of different cards, and just wanted to have fun with different guys. Like, I've had Hornsby for a while, so now I have Ryan Sandberg. I used Frank for a long ass time, and now like, I'm back to Frank, but for a period of time I was using Keith Hernandez, stuff like that. Like, I just want to use different cards and not get worn out, I guess, because people have heard me say I'm huge on lineup diversity, and that doesn't just go for my opponents. That goes for me too. Like, I want to be able to use different guys and try and find fun with them as much as I can. So
that really keeps things fresh. Like, especially if you play a lot and you play throughout the year, like, you need new cards in the lineup. It really keeps things fresh. I feel like this Gibson's controlling pretty well.
I agree. I it's interesting because obviously he came out last year, and I played the game last year. I wasn't on the top of the leaderboards by any means. I think, if I remember correctly, it just seems like a foggy year. That's why I'm having a hard time remembering. Like, I would just get.
It was a weird year last year.
I would just do the bare minimum, get to World Series. That's really it, though. I think I streamed a grand total of maybe 4-5 times at most, and it was only because a new patch came out and I was thinking, oh, this might be a fun patch where it might turn the game around and I'm gonna have fun with it. But that never
That's
ended up
drastically
being
different than
being the
this
case.
year. You're consistently streaming a bunch
Yep.
this year now, and like got the good setup and everything.
I think the reason for that is I told myself that this year I was going to try to have fun with it as much as I can. Um, regardless of how the game would play, I do think the game is a little bit better than last year. But at the same time, it's still like kind of in like that same tier of gameplay. Like I think 15 and 16 was a really good tier. 17 was a drop off, and then 18 and 19 were even more drop offs. But I've just tried to have fun as much as I can. Putting out streams. Oh, that was a good throw. Ugh, couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. I didn't realize that Willie's out there left. That completely changes my perspective on that. But yeah, I've just tried, to do my best and have fun with it. And doing the streams and seeing the support has been really cool. And it's something that I never would have thought of in my wildest dreams. And it's definitely kept the gears turning, that's for sure, regardless of how the game is played. So, yeah, there you have it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun I love personally, making videos and streaming. I love talking sports with the chat and talking with the MLB community. Sure. And just it's a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, it certainly it helps the time pass. Not necessarily that this is an activity where we need help getting the time to pass, but there'll be streams or it's not just mine. I see it in yours. I see it in other people's where people want to talk about different things about baseball that are happening IRL, different things. People will do name drops of players that they wish they could see in the game, guys you never thought of, like for 10 years forgot they ever existed. And it sounds kind of weird, but it's actually really fun to talk with your chat and talk with others in other people's chats about those kinds of things. So I'm having a lot of fun with it, that's for sure.
That's good, man. Bro, I think you hit so much better on Legend than I do. I'm not hitting well at all.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I don't know if it was a byproduct of the game in the beginning of the year. I thought I didn't hit well on Legend at all, and maybe it was because of not playing that much last year. That might have had something to do with it. But I certainly got adjusted to it probably sometime in the second season. That's when I really started taking off. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, even last year, I know that they made some changes with how the ratings and the game, the difficulties would work. And even last year, I was like, I don't know, man. Even the way the game plays, I don't know if this is going to work. But when you start the new season and you're playing on All-Star, you certainly have an appreciation for Legend and kind of how it plays out. Yeah, there's certainly frustrating games. Everybody has them, but as a whole, I think it plays so much better than All-Star does, which is unfortunate because, like we said, a lot of the majority of the player base is on All-Star, and who knows, they might not have the same thought process as I do, and that's perfectly fine, and I'd hope to be wrong where they enjoy it, but it's a weird year where I'm seeing people that I know and will admit that they're All-Star players say that the game doesn't even play well on All-Star either. And it's unfortunate, but I just try to get out All-Star as quick as I can every time the new season comes out, so I won't have to worry about it too much.
It's weird because I'm probably best, honestly, at playing at Hall of Fame for some reason because I can hit really well on it. And I don't know, the pitching is not good, but I can pitch enough on it. What do you think are the biggest keys to your success and to getting up there so high on the board? Because personally, I have not gotten above 1100 this year. I've gotten 1095, 1090 a couple times. what it seems to me when I watch you guys from afar is it's just like it just seems like you guys don't lose. Like I don't know how else to put that, but it's like you guys always win like 10 games in a row. Like I'll like win 3 or 4, lose 1. I don't mean to jinx anything,
Sure.
but I'm just curious. Like, what's your thought process on that? Like, what do you think really separates yourself to put yourself in the next tier?
Man, I think it would be going back to my roots and knowing that like in 15 and 16 I was so heavy on practice that I have a good framework for how my gameplay is, like my style of hitting, my PCI movements, stuff like that. Like I have a good sense of how I'm gonna play, and I know what my strengths and my weaknesses are, and I think that's probably the most important thing, in my opinion, for people that want to improve. Instead of like adapting to a certain meta, I think it's important that people understand their identity. And I don't know if that's like a cliche term or not, but I think it's certainly important that people understand what their strengths and weaknesses are, and then they can work from there, and then they can adjust to the meta. And I've certainly wait a minute, what happened there?
I think you went too early.
You get the conversation. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
But to continue the conversation, yeah, man, like I think people will go ahead and try to adapt to the meta right away. And what I mean by that is, in the past, players would use like the all power guys, right? Like you try to load up on guys that have the most power. And I think the majority of the community saw the way the game was playing this year and thought that this year would be different. It'd be able to use all contact guys. And while I think that might be a good strategy, at least from my perspective, and it might not work for everyone. However, I would advise at least to stick with what they know. And for me, that's been the power guys. I've stuck with the power guys as much as I can. Now, of course, there's different guys that I'm using this year, like, and the majority of the community is using this year, and Tony Gwynn, who I'm excited about because he's one of my favorite hitters of all time. And it's been disappointing the last couple years of him not like being quote unquote usable. He's certainly usable this year, and for whatever reason that's the case. I don't know why. I don't even want to dig into it or think about it, because all I know is Tony's usable. But I've stuck with the power guys. I've tried to get a sense of how well my style that I've used the last couple of years is going to work, and I've been able to stick it out, and I've improved throughout the year. So I would say do what's comfortable, stick with your style, use the players you love to use, you've always loved to use, and don't think about it too much. I think people are caught up in which card's going to be good, which one's not. Am I going to waste stubs using this card or whatever? I think people, you go to the cliche term, like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think people want to fix a little too much. And I think that might lead to a little bit of either regression or plateauing when it comes to playing in ranked seasons. That's my opinion, and I could be a little bit off, but that's what I've seemed to notice. At least when I watch people's streams, when I play people multiple times in a season, I see their lineups and I remember who they have. I know there's certain players that love cards that might not necessarily be useful for other people, you know, and like people that will stick with their cards or stick with the ones that they have, they end up doing really well, and they're normally the people that I see on the top of the leaderboard. So, you know, it's just one of them things, man. It's a multi-layered issue, I would say. Okay, is this one going to fall? I don't think so. Got a little too much air under it.
Center fielder's going to be worn out after this game, bro. He's running all over the place.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. So I've just realized the score is 1-0 because I haven't looked at the score at all. I just been deep in thought a little bit, but that's okay.
No, it's been good,
Yeah.
man. It makes me not even want to like edit this video down very
Right.
much, honestly, because it's just like a cool conversation
Sure.
throughout.
Yeah. I'm all for it. All right. Let's see. Okay. Let's
1 2.
see. Oh. Ended up being an accidental dot.
Need Almar to come through.
Let's see. We got 42.
So, you played college baseball?
I did. I played my freshman year out of high school. I played SIUE. It was a redshirt year. Left after a year. Came back home. Went to North Central College, a D3 right in my hometown. Did that for 2 years, and then I stopped, and I just been finishing school and doing this.
How much what was I gonna say? What I meant to say, what position
I was
did
a
you
catcher.
play? Oh, that's
Yep.
interesting.
I think that's where a lot, like
So
I took it upon myself to be as knowledgeable as I can to understand bunch of different wrinkles about the game, and I think it's honestly maybe a large factor as to why I'm successful in this game, because I've always thought that like I have good stick skills, but I don't think I have prime stick skills. Like I feel like I try to put myself in the best positions possible to succeed. Whereas there's guys in the community that it doesn't matter what position they're in, they're gonna succeed, you know. But for me, it's always been just putting myself in the best position possible, and then we go from there. Because there are times where where like I'll slump or whatever, and that's the reason why, is because I'm putting myself into holes, I'm doing stupid stuff, I'm shooting myself in the foot, and I just realized that I have to go back to square one and remind myself every now and again in order to recalibrate, I guess. But being a catcher is probably largely the reason why I'm successful in this game.
I think that it plays a big factor. I've actually started watching more tutorials of. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube with IRL baseball guys talking the game. They'll be like, "Here's how to get better at pitching and hitting." One thing I was looking up recently was pitch sequences. Sure. Just seeing like where to spot different pitches. I haven't put any of that back out on YouTube yet, but I feel like that's a part of your game that you're gonna have. Especially as a catcher, that more people just like don't know about.
No,
You know,
you're
like
absolutely
how do you put all these together? Where do you put these pitches together? What are you trying to do? I do think that correlates to the game.
Sure.
Because you're just thinking about it on another level that, not everybody is. Mm-hmm. That's a good swing right there. You've been hitting the ball hard all game. I've been dinking and dunking the ball.
This is good for Hanley. This
my God.
This is a good tryout. I'm pleasantly surprised so far. But to
quick turn on the fastball,
kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's one of the components that I'm talking about as to why I'm successful. There's like different sequences I've known as a catcher that has worked in college that I try to bring to this, and it might not work all the time because like the variation in like what you call quote unquote hitting approaches in this game is so wide compared to how it is in college, even high school, and certainly in the pros. Like there's guys that you'll play in this game, like with all due respect, they don't know what they're doing. I mean, you know that as well as I do because you've played, certainly as many years and as many games as I have. But I certainly still try. I try to do that within this game and use different combos and sequences, and what people are starting to realize is called tunneling. People do that in real life, and I'm starting to do that here as well, mainly because that's just what I know. You know what I'm saying? So like I've tried to
Yeah.
be the best version of myself and what I've always known and just tried to apply it into the game as much as I can. And for the most part, probably should have struck out there, but for the most part has worked out. So you're absolutely right about that. Good pitch. His slider does move a lot, rightfully so. It's people regard it as one of the best sliders of all time, which is good to see. And of course, that's
Yeah.
tough to hit. Doesn't matter who you are, and that's tough to hit.
He feels pretty smooth. He's always been a little. Oh my god!
Wow, wow. See, I put the picture up last night of Joey's stats, and he's just one of them guys for me. Like I'm not gonna want to take him out. I know everybody wants Chipper at third base, but dude, I'm just finding a spot for Gallo. I don't care where it is right now, man. I think he's going for me.
That's so much skill, man. Because the PCI for Gallo is not very big. I hit Frank there. The PCI for Gallo is not very big. Just like scoring it up. That's a nice hit right there.
Even Harper's hit the ball pretty well this game.
Yeah.
He has a tiny PCI. This card does with his he's got 59 vision. Yeah, the feed. If you saw this feedback, you'd laugh at how small this PCI is, and it's just an X-wing. But
Bob got pretty much bodied. He's done. Like he's out of energy and confidence.
I don't know. It's one of them things, man. Where it's one of them things where like there are times where like I'll be lost in a conversation. Like I know this sounds maybe counterintuitive, but I'll be lost in a conversation talking to people, whether it's in a party or doing something like this, and I'm not thinking about too much, and you know I end up hitting really well. It's one of those weird things. Other times, I mean, it's not always the case. You know, there are times where like I might need to focus where like I've been struggling at the plate, I'm in a slump, like my mechanical adjustments need to be made, and you know, I end up having a conversation and all of a sudden I know that I lost 3-0 and I had 4 hits, you know. But there are times when things are going well where I might end up doing better. So I still think Bob Gibson is intriguing. At least I hope he is, because I really need another righty to fill out the rotation right now. And there's not a ton of options because I don't know about you. I don't trust Nolan Ryan anymore. I don't know if that's
I
don't know
either,
if that's
man.
me or if it's what, but I know a lot of people are saying it, man. And it sucks because obviously love to use the Nolan Express, but you just can't this year. It feels like you really can't.
No, it's so hard to put his off speed in the zone. I think that's the biggest problem. And when you can't trust that, and it's just a fastball, people just smash it. What you're kind of saying about is actually, you know, in your philosophy about George Brett has a quote where he says, "Don't try harder, try easier" when it comes to baseball, and I think that's exactly what you do with what you're saying. It reminded me so much of that quote.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. I'd say the majority of my time that certainly needs to be applied, and like I said, there's still times where I actually do need to focus in and try to iron out some things. But for the most part, yeah, that quote is 100% true. It's not just IRL, it's in this game too. So there's some good application from real life.
So we got the Cubs jerseys here. Obviously got the World Series a couple years ago. Who are some of your favorite Cubs players, and who are some of your favorite players in the MLB right now?
So for Cubs, since I mentioned I'm a catcher, Contreras is one of my guys. Always will be one of my guys. I would say Kyle Schwarber is another one of my guys. Even though a lot of the fans get frustrated with him because of his batting average and whatnot, but those are kind of older school baseball fans, I guess. Like Kyle's always one of my guys. I followed Kyle when he was in college at Indiana because I had a good friend of mine and teammate that went on to play at Indiana and played with Kyle his freshman year when Kyle was a junior and got drafted. So I've always followed Kyle. I've always known that he would be a really good player. And when that's a good ball. When he was starting to get first round draft analysis from experts and whatnot, I remember, there's the Big Ten Network channel, and they'd be on throughout the spring. And I remember telling my dad, and my dad saying the same thing, like, wouldn't it be awesome if the Cubs got him? He's just one of them guys. And of course, we ended up taking him fourth, which I was not expecting in the 2014 draft. And just a year later, he was hitting incredible home runs in the postseason. And of course, in 2016 had his ACL tear, and then came back for the World Series and put on a show, and was a large part of why we won. So, I'd say them two are my two main guys. Those are my two main guys around the league. It pains me to say this, but I always loved Christian Yelich when he was in Miami. And of course, he's in Milwaukee, terrorizing the Central, and doing what he did last year to take the division away from us was really tough. But I mean, it's tough to admit, but Yelich has been one of my guys. Joey Votto, he's another one of them guys. Matt Carpenter, even though he's a Cardinal, I've always respected his game for a long time. I guess I have an affection for pure hitters and guys with advanced approaches, I guess. And those three that I just mentioned, like even Daniel Murphy as well, those guys, excuse me, those guys I've always had somewhat of an affection for. So not even mentioning like the exciting young players around the league. Those are the guys that I've had an affection for sure.
That's solid, man. That's really cool. I like how you put that in perspective. Like, guys that have really smart approaches to the game.
And during that entire question, I realized that I'd given up 3 runs here. So I have to batten down the hatches a little bit.
It's nice when Frank comes in from third base and gets a big double for us there.
And this is where having Gallo at third might hurt sometimes, but it's a game of give and take. I know what he does with the plate at the plate, so in the field, I recognize that he's going to do that from time and time again. So.
Lou's been pretty good. I'll tell you what, man. I've been killing it with Pudge. I'll probably jinx myself late right now, but during this current season, I've been getting about a home run a game with him. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I don't know how it's been happening. I know he's not been a popular card to use this year, but for some reason, I hit very well with him. I think part of it too is he's got such a bad rep now that people are just kind of grooving him pitches.
Okay,
and like
that might be true.
So he's getting. I'm having more success with him. It's been weird though. Like he's had 2 home run games. It's like I don't know what the hell's going on with him. I think after I created my balanced catcher, I was like, they pretty much are the same. Like it's pretty much the same as having like a balanced cap with his play.
Yeah, because I have the catcher behind the plate because Pudge has certainly frustrated me. I think I have I always forget. Has a bad swing. I always forget what kind of archetypes I use, but I think mine's contact and balance. So I don't know. Like I've had fun with my cap, and I think what might give me the slight edge for the cap is being able to pick your batting stance for your guy. I think I don't know because Pudge, when I used him, it's hit or miss for me. Like he was either completely on or he was completely off. It wasn't very consistent, and I think that's what bothered the hell out of me. But I know there's certain guys will come into the stream and be like, how come you don't like Pudge? So I mean, it's not necessarily a unanimous opinion shared. It's not a unanimous opinion shared at all, but it does seem to be an opinion shared by a lot of the players in the top end of the community in terms of the leaderboards are concerned. I don't know, man. It's just frustrating because I was excited to get him, and I really wanted to use him and hope that he'd be the guy this year because we knew what Piazza was last year. He had a little bit of a slower swing, He didn't bring as much to the table defensively. So, and we saw Pudge's stats, and that's another thing. Pudge just he doesn't play up to his stats, not only offensively, it seems, but defensively as well. And that's what's frustrating about his card.
It's so hard to throw runners out. What I've started to do is hit the bottom of the green window. It seems to help me out a little bit. But I don't know. I really like. I think like Jimmy Fox has been really popular. It's such a polarizing card. This Pudge card this year
really is.
Let's see, the people really are comfortable with it, or they don't like it. For some reason I've done well with it, so I gotta keep using them. It's
goes
very
back to
strange.
what I said earlier. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think that's that. Oh, that's another good ball. I left that out over the middle. Geez, Pete, Polar Bear Pete, get into it.
This Pete Alonso card's ridiculous, man.
You can get into it, but I think the tough part when it comes to guys running into struggles, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if you'll agree with this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think that there's a lot of, when it comes to content creators, there's a lot of influencers in the community where guys will see, so and so use a certain card and see him do really well, and then they'll say, okay, I'm gonna use that card now, and I'm gonna replace somebody who's been an offensive stalwart for me all year just because I saw this person use this card. And it might not end up working out, but they're not quick enough to realize that, hey, like sometimes we might run into cards that might not work for me, And I think people see like, oh, like Pitching Rebel used this card, your friend Kyle used this card, I want to use this card, and it ends up not working out, and it's almost like overkill trying to make it happen. I'm gonna end up taking him out. I'm starting to get tired of Kershaw. Like trying they're force feeding it, trying to make it happen, and it just never ends up doing it. And over time, it might lead to extra losses here and there where people are like, man, what am I doing wrong? And there's a lot of times where people ask that question and the answer's right there in front of them. So that's just something I've noticed.
Difficulty can be a factor. Like who you're playing against can be a factor. You really got to give them a big sample size, and you got to try them out yourself. Sure. What you've been saying without trying the diversity of a bunch of different cards is so important, because we can sit here and recommend a card for you to use, but you really need to try it out for yourself against a good opponent. It's like don't judge it on you going against them as well. Because earlier today I went up against Bob Feller with it was like one of the team AO guys, which they're always pretty damn decent at the game. Like it's gonna be a good game most of the time.
Yep.
And I was able to hit that Bob Feller really well, but I really probably rushed to judgment too quickly on that card because I didn't use it myself. So it's hard to, I just faced it. So that's not really, you need to use the cards yourselves to make your own kind of opinion.
No, yeah, you're right. And kind of to what you said, like, ooh, that's going to be either off the top. I think that's off the top. You made a good point about about how you got to use them yourself and knowing the people you play.
Here's what you do now with them. Now you just take them out and put it in Vizkill. We got the lead.
And then you got
he had like one or two plays that he could have helped.
You might not get, and he can turn it into a run. Yeah, see? That's something that people need to think about as well. It's always thinking. Try not to be on autopilot all the time. You don't want to overthink, but just be aware of the chances that you have, knowing when to go to the bullpen, when to warm up guys, when to mound visit, when to pinch run, when to double switch. All that stuff's important.
Definitely.
But to go back to your point about like knowing like your opponents, who you're playing, like playing good people, I think it's important to know, like, and have like a good recollection of what happened in those games. So for example, you might face you might be trying out a card and you might face a guy that's just dotting you. You can't really do a whole lot. Like, you have to be perfect pretty much. When that happens, you have to take that into consideration when you're talking about, okay, my numbers don't look good with this card, but like, I've had some bad luck where my opponents are, pitching really well to me, versus like, you might try out a different card and you might just get a whole bunch of cookies and you just take advantage of them. I mean, I always try to take that into consideration when I'm using different cards. And I think it's something that a lot of people might not. They just look at the stats. And Gallo, I mean, even Gallo.
How did you accumulate those stats?
Yeah, even Gallo, like, he's not, getting cookies all the time. He's an influential card because, I've used Duke Snyder in left field a bunch. I've had different lefties where, guys are not necessarily afraid to pitch with a righty. With the short amount of time this card's been out, I've never seen so many calls to the bullpen when Joey comes up to the plate. And he even has like better quote unquote stats against lefties. Guys will just bring him in. He's so influential. And like, guys are taking him seriously, and he's still putting up really good numbers. So that tells me that I think he's going to be in the lineup for a long time, especially if Chipper ends up being like, comes out and is like an expensive card where I won't have to worry about it too much. Of course, I'd love to have Chipper, but if Gallo's doing the job for me, I'm not necessarily going to be in a hurry to replace him by any means. So,
yeah. Which cards are you looking forward to the most that haven't come out?
Oh man, I'm always trying to think about this because it seems like all my viewers and everybody else on Twitter seems to remember those streams where they revealed, and before Honus, I'll be honest, before Honus came out today, I completely forgot that he was one of the cards that would be out this year that they teased in the streams and whatnot. Like, I forgot about him, so I'm like always trying to think. I'm trying to think.
I did not know he was 100% guaranteed. Right. Most of them I do, but I didn't know that he was 100% going to be in the game.
And that caught me by surprise today when I saw it. So I was like, oh, okay. But from the ones that I do know for sure, what we expect to be coming out, I think definitely Griffey. I've always loved Griffey's card. I even loved him in 17, where people were not really happy with how topspin played out. He'd be one of those cards that had a lot of topspin, but I stuck with him and I loved him.
Me too. I love that card even back then too.
It's nostalgia related for me as well. Yeah. So he's one of them. I'd say getting like a 6 series Trout. That's another one. I just hope to see like. And that's based on how I'm seeing them giving out the like the 6 series and like the stats they give. And what I mean by that is like, I just hope to see a Trout with like good vision, just to see what he can do, because I know that has been one of the reasons that has kind of turned people away from the live series one a little bit, because of the vision on Legend. It's pretty small. I mean Zach Greinke's 6 series card has more vision than Mike Trout does. So if they give his like a 6 series with good vision, like 80, 85 even, like I think that could be a really intriguing card. In terms of pitchers, Tom Seaver, I think for sure. I'm interested to see how his does this year, because I've seen his 89 that pre-order card even on like Hall of Fame a couple times this year. I've seen it a couple times and I swear it's giving me fits every time. So I'm really intrigued to see that card come out, and that could end up being the best pitching card in the game, I think.
I was desperately looking for a 5th starter, and I ended up using the 87 Tom Seaver, and he got through a couple innings, but he's going to be so dominant. I'm really looking forward to that card. I'm looking forward to Trout a lot too, and Griffey. We're right on the same page.
And of course, we're not
I
even
think just
mentioning
from playing
Babe
for so long, we know how they're gonna.
We ain't even mentioning.
Yeah,
Babe.
we know how they're gonna. Yeah, Babe's gonna be the shit
Yep.
too. I feel like you gotta find a way to get Babe on the field. I don't. If they go 125 for everything like they did last year, I'm finding a way for that man to get on the field. I don't care if my defense suffers a little bit because he's so good at hitting, like, and win the game by himself.
Yeah, he really could. He absolutely could. And like I've valued defense a little bit more this year, but like you absolutely have to make exceptions. I mean, I'm doing it for Gallo, even though he has good arm strength. But Babe's another one of them guys. Like if I don't care if I'm forced to put him in left field, even like I would probably do it. Like I'm not gonna be afraid to do it at all. So,
yeah,
like he's. Even though I didn't play a bunch last year, he was still so fun to use at the plate. Obviously, the guy has maxed out stats. You're going to need to get him in the lineup at whatever cost it might be.
Yeah, without question.
Ooh.
Risky it all here. Because, like, I'm running out of bullpen guys.
Oh, I got under it. I've been getting under it a lot in the last couple innings.
Wagner's like, I honestly think you made an argument at Wagner's the best relief pitcher in this game. I think he's my best pitcher personally.
Yeah, I think you absolutely could. I haven't really gotten a chance. It just seems like haven't gotten a chances to many chances to use lefties. It seems, and like there was a period of time people were asking me why I'm carrying 5 righties versus 4, and that's the reason why. It just always seems like I'm getting chances to face a bunch of righties because that has been the meat of the content is power righty hitters. And
that's what I used actually earlier this year. I used 5 righties and 2 lefties.
And there wasn't many lefty options. I think that had something to do with it. But there's definitely 3 options now, so I'm giving them a chance. I don't know if I'm going to end up sticking with it, but you know, we're going to have to see what happens. I might have to bring I understand there might be times where I might have to bring like a lefty in, or I might face 3 out of 4 righties, but that's okay because I think Britain actually, for me, at least so far, I don't know if I can speak for a lot of people in the community, has been able to get lefties and righties out alike. So
Britain is Rolly Fingers is nice, but Britain is the best team of finger card in my opinion. This card is incredible. I didn't use him from a lot of the year. I don't know what it is about his pitching motion, but I don't know. He's just really difficult to square up. That's about the best way to put it.
He's got the heavy sinker, and it comes in quick. So it makes it difficult when and if people are utilizing the 4-seam, getting people to pop up, it makes it even harder, I think. Well, this one's going to curve foul.
It did. I think Gwynn went 5 for 5 this game.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't be able to tell you though because I've been deep in conversation. I just know I've thrown some pitches, some fastballs, and I know that he's smoked them into the gap. I can recall maybe 1 or 2, but it would not surprise me if I find out he was 5 for 5.
Making the video very interesting. This has been really, really, really fun to record. This has gone really well. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this. At least I hope.
I hope
you guys
I certainly hope so.
If you guys haven't dropped a like on the video yet or subscribed, consider doing so. We'd both appreciate it. And again, if you guys haven't checked out DGoss on Twitch, go follow him on Twitch. He's really funny on Twitter too, man. Go follow him on Twitter, man. DGoss15. No problem, man. It's a 100% recommendation. If you guys like my channel, you'll like his channel. I've known him forever. There's like a small group of guys, I don't know how to say it, that go back to like MLB 16 that like are now, I'm seeing them in the streaming community and getting their name out there, and I really, really like, there's so much talent there that it makes me really happy to see. Like, I really like seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad that you guys are doing that now, man.
Here we go, Hanley. I think that's an out. Oh my God.
Willie. He's good out there and left.
Man, I did not miss that. That's unfortunate. But yeah, man. I think I think it's cool that I think a lot of people are kind of putting not pushing away their feelings aside away from the game, because I mean, certainly frustrated a lot of the times, but it's I think for us, like some of us that have been putting ourselves out a little bit more, it's a lot bigger than that. I think it's more of a community type of thing, and kind of seeing everybody come together, seeing new faces, seeing old faces has been a lot of fun. um ooh, we end up tying it up. Let's go, man. It's gonna be this
Yes,
this might end
sir.
up being a longer video than we thought.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot of fun. It's way more fun than I ever could have imagined it being, despite all the downfalls about the game, all the pitfalls, if you will. Excuse me. Um,
Joseph Gallo
man, Gallo's
is
the
absolutely.
guy, man. I don't even know if I have anybody warming up, to be honest. Oh, I have one guy warming
Uh,
up, so I'm gonna. Okay, I'll do that.
just, let me just turn on that 100-mile-an-hour fastball. No problem.
He's I don't know.
Left on
It
left.
might just be a comfort thing with me.
You
I'm
got
not sure, because I get the question
the people
all
that
the
are watching
time.
this video. I'm telling you, these guys are just on another level. Like, you can learn so much by watching their streams, man. Like, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I get flooded with questions all the time, but I love answering all of them. Like I was just gonna say, I get this question a lot, and I'm sure you did. It's a bad swing. I'm sure you did when you were using Gallo, because I know you did as well. Um,
Yeah.
about asking all the time, is he usable on Legend with his PCI? And the answer is yeah, he is. It's not necessarily for me. It's not really about the player. It's just about um, like if I feel like my mechanical skills are good, and if I'm comfortable with the player, then he's absolutely usable for me. And there's never a universal answer to those kinds of things, but there's certain cards that you might look at their stats and think, like I wouldn't use that guy. Try him out, man. You'd be surprised. And even though Gallo's kind of like a folk hero in our community, like he's certainly still usable on Legend, and that swing is, as we just talked about, might be the best reliever in the game. He turned on, 100-mile-an-hour fastball down the right field line. He can do it, man.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
So we got Eck, who's been probably my favorite. And he gives up a hit, of course, as soon as I say that. He's been my favorite reliever to use. I was hoping it'd be Kenley, but for some reason, I don't know. It might just be bad luck, me making mistakes or whatever. Kenley has been one of the cards. He just can't have a clean inning for me. I don't know what it is. If it's something with cutters where people are able to pull off a cutter and hit it over my shortstop's head, or something with righties. But I really love Eck, and I know the reason I say or I bring that up is because I've actually heard a lot of people in my streams, and maybe in other streams, potentially yours as well, people don't really like Eck. And I don't know. It's just one of them things for me. He has a really good slider. You can pretty much put it wherever you want, which I think is huge, and it can play off the sinker and then the four seam very well. You're able to mix in an occasional curveball. So if people ask me who is the best righty reliever in the game right now, I will tell you this guy right here is the best.
Yeah, he's really, really good. I actually, I really like his card as well. He's kind of got like all the same pitchers as Rolly Fingers, but he's got better per nines, and he's got a much different delivery. I actually like pitching with him more out of the stretch than I do in the windup.
No, sure.
Yeah, I missed that one. I missed that one. Shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to like, if you're unfamiliar with cards, that's another reason why it's important to use them, because you get a sense of their windup. And luckily for me, I'm able to kind of tune that out a little bit. But I know for the majority of the community, it's still like a crucial factor when determining which cards you want to use. I think at first I definitely was on the side of his his motion from the stretch was a lot better. versus the windup, but I've started to finally get comfortable with the windup, and he's been really, 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 really fun to use.
Yeah, me too. I know what you mean. I think part of it was like I usually try to throw it as hard as I can with the analog like every time, and I think part of it was just like not trying to do that as much. I started like being able to hit the line
Yep,
in the hoop a lot
line
more.
in the hoop.
Yeah. But man, that was a really fun game, a really fun video to record. I hope you had fun recording it as
Oh yeah,
well.
absolutely. I'm down for this stuff all the time.
Good conversation. We're gonna have to record another one of these sometimes. If you guys like the video, drop a like. We get enough likes, we'll definitely record another one. We could kind of talk about what's going on in the game and stuff like that too, like because we talk about the Honus stuff today and everything like that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Normally there's stuff going on with the content. The dev team's been really good with the content this year and even last year as well. Normally that kind of thing that makes these videos fun, is being able to talk kind of talk about all the moving parts as to why we may or may not kind of chase something such as this. There's not going to be quite another chase like it, but talking about all the different cards that come out, whether they're going to be good cards, whether they're not going to be useful, whatever, we'll kind of try and talk about those. I know I certainly do that in my stream. You do it as well in yours, and we do it in this YouTube video right here as well. So it was certainly fun.
Definitely. All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, have a great day. Peace.